Hi everyone. I was tempted to do a live version of this video because lives don't take as long to upload, but just in case there's not much time to do this reading, I thought I'd just record it. So the question I asked was a reading done purely out of emotion, and the reading was, how do we all help victims of governmental persecution? Now, I called on all the recently departed souls of those who have been persecuted by the government. We call ourselves TIs. In order to help me with this reading. Now, I don't know if they showed up, but I know that in my heart, this is something that is not just about me speaking on, it's about everybody basically just taking their thumbs out of their asses and actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. Stop obeying their fragility, stop hiding, sticking their heads in the sand and trying to justify their apathy. Get off your asses is basically the point of this reading. I'm tired of it. I may be preaching to the choir by doing this reading, but god damn it, people need to wake the fuck up. It's not a game. There are people dropping dead in their 30s, let alone with somebody like Lisa, who was an older woman and who had been through the ringer by the time her life came to an end. And that's not just because of the way she lived, it was because of the way she was treated by her government. By a government that was not only already racist and misogynist and queerphobic, but also selecting people for experimentations that they did not agree to and having them institutionalized in order to silence them, homeless in order to isolate them and keep them vulnerable. This is narcissistic abuse tactics, and everybody fell for it so hard that even when it turned out we were right about the situation, people are doubling down and rounding on us. No more. So if that's the way everyone is going to play it, then let's play it that way. For those who are awakened and for those who understand what is going on and the cost of that apathy, what can we do to help all victims of governmental persecution and unlawful experimentation? What the fuck can we do? That's what this reading is about. Let's get into it. Now, the situation, we've got the Knight of Cups and clear cognizance. Now, like I said, this reading is born out of pure emotion. Now, that emotion might lead you into applying your skill in a more selfless way. It might, if you're a writer, you might utilize your writing towards more selfless endeavors in order to help the cause. If you're an artist, if you're a fashion designer, something, whatever your creative outlet is, it's not just me. There are other people who will do this also. It may not be out of grief either, because, there are many of you who won't be grieving at this time. Many of you will be expressing your emotions at a system that has just repeatedly let everyone down in order to do what's easy rather than what's right. So you'll be expressing that through art. If I had to advise anyone on what to do, if you're not necessarily a creative person, it doesn't have to be something artistic. It can be in economics, it can be in law, whatever it is that you can apply your dynamic energy to. That is what we will be dedicating to the cause of a just society, of a truly just society, not just something that looks just. So, yeah, I had to wait to see if it was my roommate. So we will be dedicating our skills and our deepest passions towards attaining justice for those suffering with governmental persecution. What may get in the way, our challenge, we may end up investing too much emotionally in what's going on. Let me repeat that. We may be investing emotionally too much into what's going on, to the point where we forget about our own plight, and to the point where we forget about what's immediate to us. So we can't lose sight of, it's good for us to think about one another and support one another and close ranks. But you have to remember to stay in touch with your own heart occasionally, and to not allow yourself to be led astray by the problems of other TIs. All too often, we are there for each other, but at the cost of ourselves. And if we truly want to help one another, we cannot do that. It is so important that we do not help one another at the expense of ourselves and our health and our well-being. At the root of this situation, there are cycles that many TIs go through. We go through like being happy, being sad, being angry, this, that, and the third. This is the part of the cycle where we're not angry and we're not despondent, but it's almost as if we're quiet and we're waiting for something. It's a deep breath before the plunge. I've said that so many times. It's like we're waiting for something. Whilst we're waiting for whatever it is that's about to drop, we need to do our research. We need to learn as much as we can, not only about our own skills and what we're passionate about, but also about what's facing us as either people who are persecuted by the government, or people who actually believe that this is going on. Do your fucking research. Don't just take our word for it or dismiss our word. Don't do either. Do your fucking research. Learn something. You've got the internet. You've got the whole world at your fucking fingertips. There is no excuse. There is no excuse. There is no excuse for you to be taking anybody's word at anything, not even ours, not even the people who are persecuted by government. There's no fucking excuse. Do your goddamn research. And those of you who are already doing the work, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Because you already do that. You already do research. So you know what I'm talking about here. So, for the recent past, we've got the wild card. What do we know? We know, those of us who are awake anyway, we know about the cycles of the world and how they perpetually operate. We know that this is the end of a cycle that has been crowned. And for those who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's a crowning achievement to the end of a cycle. We know this. So many people who are persecuted by government or are aware of the persecution are already preparing. We are already preparing for what's coming next. Like I said before, research. Research is your friend. Get on it if you want to understand what we're talking about. You've got the 7 ages of empire. We're at the 7th age now. We're at the age of decline. And we're at the gates of a new era. And it's going to be bloody and it's going to be messy. And it's going to cost a lot of lives. And as always, it's going to start from the bottom upwards. That's the whole point of social control. Do your fucking research. Then your knowledge of the world cycles will improve. And you will understand how to prepare for it, how to prepare your loved ones for it. And that's how you build upon that knowledge that you already have. Now, what is at the present moment? What is our destiny at this moment when it comes to helping victims of governmental persecution? All right, so one or two things is happening. Either a gap is being bridged at the moment between those who believe in the so-called conspiracy theories and those who don't. There's a bridge meeting in the middle. And the way I see it, it's okay, so the way I see it, there is a bridge meeting in the middle between those who believe in the governmental persecution and those who don't believe. Because of the way the world is heading, there are people now awakening to the situation and beginning to be skeptical of our government and beginning to ask questions. My thing, now this is aimed at the people who are actually being persecuted right now. Speak your truth with the ones who are already awakening and who are already asking questions. Stick with those who are already becoming intelligent. And what you have to do is, instead of telling people what you're going through, you have to just live your life. Prepare, get ready, look after number one, because this world ain't going to look after you. Okay? For the rest of you, what you need to do is connect with those who are, if it's too much for you to think about governmental persecution, then associate yourself with those who are at least questioning. You don't have to side with the people who are hardcore and who are already like, Corona's a bioweapon and this, that. You don't have to side with people like me, but side with, at least get to know somebody who is at least questioning something and understand why they're questioning it, because they're likely to put it forward in a rational way that doesn't appear to be too traumatized or too erratic or too, because you people love your image and content. Side with somebody that you believe is rational, that is questioning things. And then you can question things together and gently introduce yourself to it. But if you've got a relative that's saying they're being persecuted by government, believe them, because they're likely to be telling the truth. Social cleansing through gentrification, through corrupt healthcare, through corrupted education, all of these things are open secrets already. So at some point you have to use your brain and realize that when people talk about governmental persecution, it's not that far-fetched. But if it makes you feel uncomfortable, associate with people who are questioning things and not necessarily sure, then do your research together. Now, for the near future, what are we looking for? For many of us who are already in the know, I think some of us have given up that this world is going to get its act together, and we're actually making plans already. Slowly but surely, we're making plans already. I feel like it's just a case of hurry up and wait in our case, but for the rest of the world, you may not necessarily have that time because you haven't had time to prepare, because you haven't listened. So what you kind of have to do is, in the near future, things will start to slowly unfold in front of you that will make you understand that, yeah, you have been lied to. And yeah, you were right to distrust your government and to distrust the people around you, because you have been lied to. It is true, you have been lied to. So what do you do from here? Once that awakening becomes clear to you, what you have to do is pick everything apart piece by piece. You have to start with, maybe, for example, you have to start with housing and kind of figure out how tax breaks, how corporate tax breaks applied to charities and things like that can play a part in annexing housing so that rich people can get into it. Because there's a whole thing, because of the society that we live in and because people are so much more clued up, everything that we do is indirect. So in order to understand how we are indirectly having our resources annexed more and more, having our freedoms taken away more and more, it's something that you have to approach piece by piece. is something that you have to approach slowly, and you're going to slowly come out of your shell and be like, okay, this is bad, so what do I do from here? And then you will start to sort of form new ideas slowly but surely, especially when it comes to your finances, because that's the first thing you're going to be worried about, and you should be, right? So you're going to sort of slowly and surely, and slowly but surely unfold, what does it mean for your finances, this, that, and the third. That was where it will start. How does this affect my resources? So I feel like if I'm preaching to the choir, you're already on it. If I'm preaching to people who are coming on here to get a laugh, then you will slowly begin to understand why it's not fucking funny, and you will find a way to make sure that your resources are protected as this world transitions, or at least try to protect your resources and your environment and your families. Now, our power in this situation. Chakra clearing, yeah, so I don't think it's to do with an open mind. I think it's more to do with, because there's a reset happening, there are those of you who will manifest one of two strengths. Some of you will manifest bravery and candor. And then there are others of you who will manifest intelligence. And then there are those of you who will manifest kindness and empathy. So it was like, as time goes on, all of you will, what abuse tends to do and what trauma tends to do and what persecution tends to do is it tends to boil you down to your essence. Those who have been persecuted have been boiled down to their essence. So if they turn out to be good people or bad people, it's not necessarily who they are, because the potential of who you are is revealed in love, not fear, but the essence of who they are, what you have to work with. Those will be revealed in time as this world gets crazier and crazier and fucking crazier. There will be those of you who will reveal different strengths and different weaknesses to yourselves at your core, strengths especially. There are those of you who are stronger than others emotionally, and there are those of you who are stronger than others physically. My advice to the physical ones is to pay attention to your, actually my advice to every single person who is either physically strong or emotionally strong is to pay attention to your feelings. Your feelings are the meeting ground between your emotions and your body. Once you listen to those things, you will understand how to utilize your strengths to help not only just yourselves but also each other. You will have a more open mind when it comes to the subject of governmental persecution and how it affects society and how it affects you and how it affects the people around you, and you will act. You just may not act in the way that you expect. I know I didn't. You're not going to act in the way that you expect. It's not going to be in the way that you thought. You may find things out about yourself that you didn't know were there. And that goes back to my Chakra reading about the id. Your id has strengths to it that you haven't seen yet. And they may reveal themselves by the time the full moon comes around. Sooner or later they will reveal themselves. That it's that type of year. People are starting to understand and show who they really are. Some people haven't faced it yet. But you will. All right. Environment. Yeah, it's not looking good. Okay, so your environment is, well, it strategically hems everyone in for a reason. You're hemmed in for a reason. The way it works is that, you know, before anybody can really find out or understand or wake up to the fact that they've been bamboozled, people are kept in the house under curfew. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, that's just for health reasons and this, that, and the third. Understand something. If there's one thing that I know about narcissistic abuse is this, right? Your abuser will always use rational explanations to do dumb, abusive shit. So this pandemic that we're under, let's not get anything twisted. COVID-19 is very real. It's very real. It's not fake. I don't even think, I know. It's a bioweapon, right? It's a manufactured bioweapon, but it is very, very real and people have suffered from it. But in that very real threat to human life, the figures have been tampered with. There are specific countries and specific cities within those countries that has been strategically locked off from basic necessities for no reason at all, that have been forbidden from travel. There are certain figures that just don't fucking add up. So it's like this very real thing of COVID-19 has been used to do narcissistic abusive shit to the public. So this is done in order to isolate us from one another so that we don't understand exactly how we're being played. But once again, there are people asking questions. So as you awaken to how this world is increasingly making your life a misery, it will feel like a trap. It will feel like a trap. I'm not going to lie to you. I remember when I first realized that I was a governmental victim of abuse, I wanted to die constantly. I just couldn't accept what was happening to me. I've been grieving about my situation for years. I am kind of in the stage of bargaining meets depression when it comes to my targeting and when it comes to my governmental persecution. And I've had literally more than a decade to get used to it. You never get used to it. So it will feel horrible once it dawns on you that, yeah, that this world is fucking crap and you've been lied to. It's a horrible feeling. But the way you break yourself out of that mindset is to you have to accept it. You have to accept the truth. And that you've been lied to by your governments. And it doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what gender you are, doesn't matter what sexuality you are, it doesn't matter how you identify as, you have been fucking bamboozled. Political alignment, none of that shit matters. We're all under the same fucking dictatorship. Born from a world that is revolved around economics and not law. The law thing is a fucking pretense. And once you find that out, it feels like it traps you, like you can't breathe. Accept it, break the bonds, and you'll realize what to do. Now, we're almost done. Now we come to our expectations. The reason why people don't accept truth and people have cognitive dissonance, what many people don't understand is that actually comes from trauma. That actually comes from trauma and Stockholm syndrome. A good chunk of the population, if not the majority of the population, whether we know it or not, we have Stockholm syndrome. We're cognitively aware of how, the benefits and the drawbacks of an economic society like this. We're aware of it. And yet, we do everything we can to appease it, knowing what it's done to us. And we want this society to approve of us no matter how much it hurts us. So to be confronted over and over again with our own fragility and with our own neediness and with our own sort of lack of self-worth, which is essentially what it boils down to, it makes us feel shitty. And for those who are telling us the truth, and especially those who we deem to be less successful than us, less put together than us, we don't want to hear it from them, because then they're better than us, because they know more than us. We can't accept that those people we look down on know more than us, because then when does that leave us? Where does that leave us? We followed the rules for so long only to find out that those who didn't follow it are doing better than we are, or who know better than we are. Really? No, we're not allowing that. So we double down and we join in with that persecution. Then there's the fear of what happens to us and how we're going to live our lives once we realize the truth. But again, it's something that you have to work at bit by bit. That's what I did. You have to work at it bit by bit. It's a long, drawn-out process. You don't come to it quickly. This whole fucking situation with governmental persecution didn't come at it quickly. It literally took decades to reach this point. So don't be surprised if it takes humanity several lifetimes before we get it right. Everything happens in a cycle. So we don't expect anything good from this, from knowing the truth about governmental persecution. It's going to leave us feeling shitty. It's going to confront us with how awful we truly are and how much we need to change. And I think more than that, more than anything, it's not the fact that we're awful that really bugs us. It's not the fact that we're horrible, because we're at a day and age where we can accept that part. We can even brag about it. But it's feeling like we're not able to change. Notice how I said not able. It's not about feeling that we're not able to change. It's not about feeling that we want to change. We're not scared of finding out we're shitty people. We're not scared of wanting to change. We're scared of not being able to successfully. It's that feeling of inadequacy that creeps up on all of us and makes us do dumb shit and makes us not listen. All of us, not just me. There are people who are persecuted by government as well that hold on to stupid views that they don't need. Out of comfort, out of the feeling of fragility, we all do it. Human nature. So you're expecting that once you accept the truth and once you know the truth, that you'll be unable to change even if you want to. That's the real fear that's holding you back. That even if you want to change, you can't. There's nothing scarier in the world than that. But the outcome, what's the outcome? Let's put all these other cards away. Focus on the outcome. And what happens when we accept what's going on. It's crazy, but we end up having some mastery over our emotions, and we end up healthily channeling those emotions into something constructive. Accepting the truth is a weird thing, because when you accept the truth, it kind of really highlights to you that you're not as good a person as you think you are. You're not as successful as you think you are. You don't know as much as you thought you did. You weren't that motherfucker as much as you'd like to think that you were. But once you accept it, once you allow yourself to feel those emotions and to accept the world for what it truly is rather than the way we want to see it, it's life transforming, because then we become literally like those characters in the Matrix that work within the Matrix whilst not being obedient to it. knowing the secret of riches, like I said in the Chakra reading, and never being their slave. You will find your true passion in life when you accept the way the world really is, and when you accept who you really are. It took me a long time to get it. It's going to take you a long time to get it, but you will come to it. In that way, when you accept who you are and you dedicate yourself selflessly, not even to a cause, but to dedicate yourself selflessly regardless, you will add to the side of justice, the side of true justice, the side of true universal justice. You will help those who are persecuted by government when you accept the truth, so that you can master your emotions and channel them into something powerful. I know you can do it. I know you can do it, even if you think you can't do it. Because at the end of the day, when you help the vulnerable side of yourself, this is another point I want to come to. Because we are all reflections of one another. That person who wants to think they're better than other people, all the criticisms that I have flung at people who don't believe that in governmental persecution, all those criticisms that I flung at you guys, I flung at myself, because you are a reflection of me. Just like I am a reflection of you. The vulnerable are a reflection of us all, just like the privileged are. But when you pay attention to your vulnerabilities, you pay attention to the vulnerable, you pay attention to the needy, you pay attention to the fragile, you listen to what they have to say. You are listening to yourselves. You are listening to yourselves. When you understand how the vulnerable are being marginalized and persecuted, when you understand that, you understand how you are being controlled and abused too. If you don't get that, then you will never, ever get that. If you don't get it now, you will never get it. Should I do one more card? I think I should do one more card for the road. Bear with. Sorry. I'm aware, sort of shuffling. Apologise. I apologise. Alright, one more card. Alright. Okay. I've got one more card for everyone, and it's a doozy. Well, one more pair anyway. So we've got the Six of Wands here, and we've also got spiritual understanding. I think this says it. Basically, you have to come back to spirit. And I'm not talking about Christ, I'm not talking about Buddha, I'm not talking about Islam, Allah. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about coming back to yourself. Coming back to your self-denial, which means coming back to selflessness. And it's not even about being selfless to each other. It's about being selfless to the universe and surrendering to the universe's will. That means releasing our heartache in a healthy way and being happy enough to bring that joy to others. And I know it sounds trite, but that's the way the universe is set up. You can either accept it or don't accept it. I really feel that for those who have been persecuted, your time is coming. It will get worse before it gets better. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. For those who are being persecuted, and even for those who are not, it will get worse before it gets better. But trust me, your time is coming. It's not about victory. It's about knowing who you are. And it's about knowing exactly why you're here, and you will have that understanding, and that will empower you, and that will ensure that true justice is done in accordance to the universe's will. That's for those who are persecuted. For those who are awakening to the persecution, oh, hold tight, because yeah, things are going to get heavy, but you'll be strong enough to deal with it. For those who are not accepting the truth, my prayers are with you. Let me just say that. My prayers are with you. And again, you're a part of me, no matter what I say. But I feel like those who are being persecuted, the more that people, it's a horrible thing to say, but with the amount of people giving their lives for justice, the more that people do that, the more that people dedicate their lives towards true justice in accordance with the universe, is the stronger that that movement becomes. So hold on, press on. For those who don't believe, side with the ones that ask questions. For those who ask questions, side with the ones who already know, who have the answers. Hold tight. This is going to be a rocky, not even next couple of years. This is going to be a rocky few decades, people. So that was the reading. I want to leave you with these cards so that you can meditate on them. And instead of me telling you anything, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to hold it right here so that you can come up with your own understanding of these cards too. I want to thank my fellow TIs for watching. I want to thank the open-minded for watching, the closed-minded for watching. I want to thank all of you. And as always, I am Real Justice Tarot. And yeah, I'm out.